So far, we have experienced 2 out of the 4 relics. The Relic of Knowledge, which allows the user to ask any question but cannot answer anything on the future, and the Relic of Creation, which allows the user to create anything they imagine so long as they can provide a base reference for it. Which leaves us with the Relic of Choice and the topic of today, the Relic of Destruction. Now, it's safe to assume that the relics all share certain traits between each other. The first one being that a spirit inhabits the relic and acts as a mediator in order for you to use its power. The Relic of Knowledge being Jinn, and the Relic of Creation being Ambrosius. The second trait is a limitation that's placed on the relic. The Relic of Knowledge will allow you to ask any question so long as it's not of events that haven't occurred yet, and you are limited to 3 questions every 100 years. It's still unclear when the 100-year timer begins, if it's per question or if it refreshes every 100 years no matter how many wishes remain. As for the Relic of Creation, while you're able to create anything so long as you have a basis for it, you cannot create something that brings a person back from the dead. And once you create something new, your previous creation will be destroyed. Now that the rules have been established, let's try and piece together what the Sword of Destruction can actually do. First and foremost, we can assume that it has a spirit that resides in it. Now for this spirit's purpose, I believe one of 2 things. The first being that while anyone can wield a sword as with the other relics, you need a purpose for wanting to destroy. It wouldn't make any sense if you could just mindlessly destroy the world with the Sword of Destruction. It goes against the entirety of what the gods stood for. One needs to understand that you need destruction in order to spawn a greater creation. Thus, you need to provide a reasoning for wanting to use such destructive power. As of now, we know Osbin used it during the Great War, and if we're basing it off of this idea, then he essentially said that he was going to unify the 4 kingdoms. He needed the power of the sword in order to ensure peace between the kingdoms and the future that it will bring. Even during the backstory of the gods, we learned that even they were struggling to keep the balance between creation and destruction, so to have the relic cause needless destruction would be hypocritical of them. The second option is that the spirit will destroy whatever you ask of it, but it will do so to its own degree. Even if you say stop, it won't stop until it's satisfied. Just like the Jabberwocker pushed too far in the eyes of the god of light, the Relic of Destruction holds a similar power. This idea plays more on the fact that the Relic of Choice and Destruction were more influenced by the god of darkness. Now for the relic's actual powers. See, with RWBY, the term magic is just kinda thrown out there. The maidens have magic, but that's solely elemental. Osbin and Salem have magic, which is just some light beams and a nuke of energy. I guess also turning people into birds.
Did you know that my sister and I were cursed to be birds?
Speaking of Salem's magic, is her ability to control the Grimm her own magic that she developed, or was it because she fell into the pits? I'd assume it's because she fell into the pit. Regardless, as much as I'd like for the Relic of Destruction to not just be an elemental sword, I feel like that's gonna be the case. I don't expect the relic to do anything too crazy, but I do expect the wielder of the relic to be on par or even stronger than a maiden. Of course, it still boils down to how skillful you are with it, but the relics were created by the gods, and the gift of magic was bestowed upon humanity by them as well. While we don't know at what point Osbin created the maidens, whatever power they have, they still must be lesser than that of a relic. And if this is the destructive power of a maiden, then I can only imagine what a relic could do. Looking at the Great War Ward of Remnant, we're given 2 hints at the relic's potential power. The first is this quick animation given by Osbin. It's simply showing off its potential to spread fire through its strikes, hinting at its elemental properties. And the second hint is a line by Crow, which states,
"Unusually violent weather conditions."
While that might be considered a one-off line, it reminds me of when Amber was fighting Cinder, and she was able to completely change the weather during their fight. Especially given the context of Crow discussing the legends that surrounded the King of Vale during this time period. Of course, we have to take all of this with a grain of salt, but seeing how RWBY likes to keep their magic system somewhat grounded, except for semblances, which aren't magic, just a semblance of magic. Whatever. I think these are all pretty safe assumptions. I do hope we get to see the relic in action, at least by the end of the Vacuole arc. I have an idea of how the battle will play out, but this relic will hold a major importance for the upcoming arcs. But of course, after the Relic of Destruction, our focus goes back to the Relic of Choice. And the fight for that one, that's gonna be a big one.